What's up, what's up, what's up? And we're starting this thing, Aesthetic Businesses Podcast. What's up, what's up, what's up? It's Marcus Cotto with Team CTN and Aesthetic Business with Mike Mendez. Today, we are going to be going over a great subject. I'm so happy about this. And I get this question a lot, is first-time investors. But we're going to do first-time investors for 2022. Right, Mike?
Yeah, so I think it's times are changing. You know, everyone's seen the news. Everyone knows the market is that. And if you've been looking into real estate, because you know a lot of people, they want to get into real estate, and they're always the first part looking into it. And the always, you know, the way of going forward was the BRRRR method. You know, buy, you know, renovate, resell, those type of things. Buy it low, sell it high. You know, flip it. You know, if you watch any kind of TV show, that's what they're doing. However, 2022 is throwing us a curveball, and I think we need to adapt to it. And there's certain strategies that I think go along with it, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. This is what I think. And just goes back to when you text me about a week ago, and you were like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this property and flipping it and doing this, and what do you recommend? And I was like, because we were talking about burn, you know, and that's what we're into, and burn and stuff like that. But I was like, for me right now, for me to do a transition, I have to cash flow 30 days after acquisition. That's for me going into 2020, just because, as we talked about, material costs is going up like crazy, right? So it kind of, for me, if material costs is going up, it's going to cost more, obviously. GCs and everybody's going to be charging more because materials is like that. Metal is even up 30% right now, right? And that's huge. So for me, it's I'm trying to buy more turnkey in more places that need less work, and so I can just start cash flowing immediately. That's just my thing going for 2022.
Yeah, so we'll use myself as like a personal one, because again, I got one property. I don't have that many. And I bought it last year. So this year, as of right now, I have 0 properties. And when we started talking about it, you know, of course, I know the BRRRR method, read the books, go that route. And looking into that one, I have to find a GC. And we've had personal experience trying to find GCs. Mm-hmm. It is not that easy.
Yeah. Dude, I remember that. That was another thing. You were like, hey, I have this property, but I can't find no GCs. Right. And that's okay. So here we are. Materials are up. You got a great property, but now you're stuck with a bill, right? Or you get stuck with a mortgage or whatever, and you can't find nobody to work with. And we both know part of the strategy is finding all that stuff before you even get started. You know what I mean? Just start having those connections. And that sucks, man. Usually they're probably, honestly, a lot of GCs out here are just busy.
Yeah.
They're so busy that they won't even get to your project and probably for like 4 or 5 months. You see what I'm saying? So that's another thing for me. It's just like, I don't want to deal with that stress, and I don't want to deal with anxiety, because, you know, it gets crazy with this anxiety of like, oh my God, is he coming back? You know?
Yeah, because like, you know, and again, just full disclosure, there are great GCs out there. However, during this time frame, they're booked. They're booked, and they already got their clientele, so they don't really need you as a client in that sense. And and you know, and that's kind of, I think, where we're seeing on both sides. And so that was kind of my conundrum in that sense of, well, I can get a property, and as a realtor, you know, I know about hard money, which is I can get someone to loan me the cash, pretty much have that one at 30,000. The interest rates around here are around 10%. You know, so it's not the worst, but it's cash, and then I can BRRRR it afterwards, and I can make my 50,000 or whatever. And I think that's a great strategy. But would you agree that's a strategy for right now?
Again, I guess it just depends on your market,
right,
you know, and your risk factors. Again, there's no right or wrong answer to real estate, right? But just, again, I'm just going to take you just my experience, what happened to me just closing on this triplex. And you know me, and I'm like 6 days past closing, and this shit's already painted, floor's done, boom, boom, boom. We'll go over that in a minute. But here's the stuff I found out, right? And this was started making me rethinking this strategy. Before the interest rates and everything went up, right, and the inflation went up even more, I was quoted insurance, and a lot of people ain't thinking this. Insurance has gone up drastically. So that cuts into your profit, right? And your cash flow. So I got quoted insurance 2 months earlier before closing, and it was $365 less. So within a couple months, it drastically went up, right? And I was told that when interest rates go up again, it's going up some more, right? So now you have interest rates going up, you have your insurance going up, right? That cuts big, and then your property taxes. So this is why I'm like, do I want to wait all that time? Because if I do a BRRRR method, and if I do get a contract and it takes a couple months, in those couple months, is the interest rates going to go up again? And yeah, it is, because we have 2 more times this year when it goes up. It's already been known. So this is like, does it make sense at this point of time?
Yeah. And even to the point of the guy that we use for insurance, he's not like this guy who's just like, hey, this is it. Like, he's really trying to find you the best deal. Shout out to Juan.
Dude, man, he is, man. Shout out to Juan, man. That dude is a beast, man. MVP. He saved my ass a couple times, but again, he lets me know what's going on. And he was like, hey, it's going up. I can't do anything. And here's another thing. What I found out with going into this property I closed on, and it's changed so much that the lenders are requiring that you have 6-month insurance and property coverage, renters in coverage. And I'm not talking about the typical 6 months. Hey, do you have this in your account? No, it has to be, the insurance has to say 6 months rental coverage. And they call it something else, but it's like a standard thing now because everybody's terrified because of what happened in 2020. Right. So this is another thing you have to think about, But it's just it's changed a lot,
right?
And
I think that's that's something to notice it. So when we had this conversation, we had just talked about it, and I was kind of mulling it over, kind of doing those things, but there was an accident happened, and I sent you the wrong link. So the episode we recorded last week was over this, didn't get done. But I think this is better now because I had a full week to really digest what you had told me and put some things in motion. And so what I found for me, and this is kind of using what he's talking about and applying it to my strategy for this year to get, my personal need is, 5 to 6 properties. So how am I going to get 5 to 6 properties in 2022 with what we got going on with the kind of material costs, GCs, those kind of maybe hurdles to overcome? And talking with him and going over this, what my strategy is I'm going to look at properties that are about 100 to 150, maybe higher. If I get maybe a 200, then I'm not doing 5, just because of the cost. And the reason for that one is because of that, we're able to negotiate within the transaction, the period that we put it under contract. We can negotiate for repairs that I don't have to fix. That is now the seller's responsibility to fix. And that's less things that I can do that I can ensure that as soon as we close, I can get a renter in there. And within 30 days of closing, I can already start pulling in cash flow before the mortgage is due. Correct?
Yeah, 100%, man. And I totally agree with that. And like we talked about, this is about to turn into a renters. I think the renters market is about to turn into the new stock market, right? Because and when I say that is because there's materials are high, all this mandate stuff. We have a lot of buyers and not a lot of homes getting built. That's just what it is. Single family homes are limited. Your millennials now, like your 30-year-olds and stuff like that, they got babies, man. Yep. They got babies and stuff now. They're trying to get out of those apartments and go get those single family homes, right? And then you got investors like myself who open up these new lending opportunities for these 30 years mortgages that you can get. And now that puts you at another market. Like, it puts more people in the market. It's just so crazy right now. And rent is going to steady keep going up. It's no different from any supply and demand, right? So you'll have a lot of people crammed up in these apartments and everything like that. And a lot of people do like convenience, right? They just want to just have their thing. But eventually you're going to want to have your own thing.
Right.
And right now they're giving more incentives and I guess like 15,000 tax cuts, whatever, and they should be using that money to buy more to build more homes. Right. You know, so it's just a very crazy time we're in. But they've already said rents is going to keep going up for the next probably about 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and you know, it's like when you mention the stock market, that's when I'm having these conversations with these investors. They're used to pulling the 30, 50K now right out at the front, and they're either selling their asset or whatever. But now, in my opinion, it's becoming the long game of, okay, cool, I have an asset, which is real estate. It appreciates. We have inflation, but it still appreciates. It's one of the only assets that I know of that still appreciates that stays up afloat with appreciation, or with inflation, I should say. And so I think that's kind of something that is kind of, you know, people have to look at it a different way. We're adapting. We have to pivot from the regular model. I'm used to getting this cash up front to I'm looking at 20, 30 years of getting that cash plus more, and it'll stay up to inflation. What do you think about that?
I think 100%. So I was just thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I would tell people to think of it like this, to simplify this as much as possible. If you put your money, all your money in your bank account now, you're just saving, right? Every $100 you have in there, you're losing $7. You really have $93. So with your money sitting in the bank, right, it's not really accumulating anything. You're actually losing money with your money sitting in the bank. Why not put that into a performing asset, like Mike is saying, right, and fight that inflation? So at least you're getting paid and fighting that inflation, because we already know the stock market is whatever somebody says a word, boom, right? We learned our lesson with that, with the options trading, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. So at this point of time, I just see the whole game has changed, 2019 to 2020. And don't let these people get it twisted. We don't have a market crisis. That's not what's going on. Everything has been on point with buying. Everything's just getting bought faster, right? Bought faster and not enough building. That's just where we're at with that, you know, and people migrating now, and nobody saw that coming. Right. So, and we want to thank all you California and New York people for driving to Texas and Florida. We thank you. We thank you for the equity y'all brought to us.
Well, you know, and that's something else when you're talking to somebody who's thinking about investing in real estate. So when I'm talking about these 5 or 6 properties, and I'm talking about, I'm going to hold them. I have no plan whatsoever to sell them. And one of the reasons for that one is, now, when we start looking at assets now, and this is something I don't know if people know about, but because they're going to be in my LLC will now have this much amount of assets. I can now take out a line of credit or take out a loan from the bank tax free and do not have to pay tax on it, because it is not income. It is debt now, but I can go buy more properties with it. And that actually leads me into my next thing of funding for me, my personal way of funding. What I did is I bought a property last year. So to do that, I created an LLC beforehand. We are coming up on 2 years on my LLC now. So that's very significant, because now we can start taking out a line of credit. And what I did on top of that beforehand was I started accepting payments online from Square for doing like real estate closing gifts. My wife does that for us. And so we're able to receive gifts, and that goes to now business credit. And the reason I'm saying all this is because the goal is to take out money take out a loan from the bank to use as my down payment for more assets. Now, the great thing about it is I will not be in debt. My company will be in more debt, but we are using that one because, like you said, rents go up. If they go up maybe $20, let's just say low $20 next year. If I have 3 properties, how much is that? You see what I'm saying? Like, you can start adding now, like you can start having that one, and my interest will get paid for the rent. So I'm cash flowing, let's say even $150 low side. If I'm cash flowing, that's over $2,000 a year of just free money in a sense. And
the equity on the background, right? Plus the tax breaks, the major tax breaks it brings, right? So you're winning on 3 fronts. A lot of people just forget about I call it the silent people in the background. You know what I mean? But I would just want to tell people, you don't have to have an LLC to do this shit, right? I tell people to take advantage of all those government programs that they have, your FHAs and all that shit. Take full advantage of those excuse me, take full advantage of those, man. You're talking about 3% down, and then a lot of people don't know that you can do a second home, right? Mortgage. You can do a second home mortgage and have it and still have an FHA. It's just you can use it again, you know. And if you do that, it opens up a lot more opportunities for you. All you need to do is just get your feet in the door, right? You get your first piece of property and you do your FHA or you do an LLC. You can house hack that, right? House hack that. If you do it on your personal, you need to have 2 years of steady rent. Just remember this, right? So if you do have a house, you can have 2 years of steady rent. And once you do that, it's considered an asset. The bank won't even consider that debt anymore. I'm going to repeat that again. If you're in your personal home and you turn your personal home or a personal property that you own for rent for 2 years, steady income for 2 years, it's considered an asset at that point. And at that point, the bank will be like, okay, well, this house makes now an extra $12,000 or $15,000. That's just added to your overall net, right? So yeah, hell yeah, we'll give you. And then they're gonna be like, okay, and it's worth this much and you have this much in equity. So now you make this much, you have this much in equity. Fuck yeah, we're gonna give you another one. Yep. You know what I mean? So this is how the game's played.
And you brought up a great point, which is house hacking, which I created an LLC because we're looking at a trust for great grandkids. That's where I'm at. That's why I created it. Mm-hmm. But if you're saying, hey, I'm starting out, I don't want to start an LLC, I want to keep it in my name. House hacking is a thing. And what are some ways that you know off the top of your head that house hacking that people could do right now?
Right now? Shit, man. If you got a couple bedrooms, get a roommate. Get two. If you're single or whatever, I would rent out your space. I wouldn't do any short-term rents or nothing like that. I would totally rent out your space to get you so you don't pay a damn thing on your mortgage, and take whatever you were paying and stack that up. That's what I would do.
And that's, that's how simple it is. I have a friend that they're married, they have a young kid.
And then, hold on. And then slowly move out.
Right.
And then slowly move out and then get your other piece of property. Yeah.
So again, like I was saying, I have a friend, they're a young married couple. They have a young kid. So, and the reason why I say that is because sometimes schools matter. You don't want to leave your school district, but they don't. And so what we're talking about with him with house hacking, I was like, hey, since your kid is young, there's a part of town they're creating new duplexes. Go get you an FHA loan and go buy you a duplex. And then within a year or two, move out. And you can do it again. Why? Because your kid's so young. It doesn't matter about schools right now. Like, you can literally go do that for a year, rent out one side of it. They'll pay for both, probably majority of your mortgage, and then move out, have someone else move in. You now have a duplex and go wash, rinse, and repeat. And it's that simple.
100%. I would totally do that. And I would probably take it a step further because I'm such a cheap ass, right? I would be like, hey, rent out the other side and I still got a room in the back.
Yeah.
Right. And on the side that I have, you know what I mean? And then totally just because I know it's temporary. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know what the end of the goal is. This is not forever. Right. So, and as long as you keep steady on your goal and this is like, hey, this is a stepping stone. And then, nothing in life is for free. Anything that you want, you have to go get it yourself. Right. And if it's handed to you, it ain't going to last.
Yeah. And that's the true part, and especially with this one. I think, we see people that are real estate investors and we have this imagined concept that they're suit and ties all day. You are an investor, and we've been friends for a long time, and knowing where you came from to know where you're at now, like let's go, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, it's just been a crazy, crazy ride. I never thought I would be like right where I am with this real estate thing. I mean, I'm closing on my 12th fucking unit. Super happy about that. Potential right now about to be 18.
Yeah.
If this thing goes through, if I can get this next deal, it'll be my 18th unit. And that's what it's all about. It gets so much easier. Just from some notes, I can just give somebody just first time investors when it comes to just getting started, right? I'm just get some off the top my top threes, right? get a contractor or maintenance person, a good maintenance person, right? And when you do that, this is what I suggest, because it is so fucking hard to get good work, and these people will take off with your fucking money, right? Or they'll do bad work, or they'll do half, and you'll never see them again. I just had a client tell me about that. 10 grand on a contractor, 10 grand.
Yeah.
And honestly, guys, that's on the small side. I'm not even gonna bullshit. That's on the small. That's cheap. You know, that's cheap. You know, I'm just gonna let you know. But it gets that real. But this is what I suggest: if you do a contract or whatever, ask for an items list. Okay, an item list breaks down everything that they're gonna do for the job, how much it's gonna cost, and what else I'm missing, Mike?
Well, itemized list really tells you the because I've dealt with some people. They're like, I need itemized, and they're like, I don't know what that is. So they've never done it before, so they don't even know how to start with what you're saying, and that's a real reality.
Yeah, and that's a wake up call. But I do that, and I break down what it is, guys. It breaks down everything of what the job is, how much everything is going to cost for every piece by piece. It is a tedious thing for contractors to do. And if they don't want to do it, get rid of them. Get rid of them, right? Because if they do that, and you do need I suggest paying them for the task, whoever does this. Like whatever time they spent, pay them for the time to break it down. It's just good. That's just good business, right? But the good thing, when you get this list and how much it costs, right, you can take that same list and bid it with other contractors, right? Now that you have this list, you can be like, hey, can you beat this? Right? Yep. So these are just little things to do. And what I've done with my contractor, like we just talked about, and he's a good guy, man. I just met him. He was for the seller and everything like that. Now he's done the property. I was like, how long is it going to take for us to flip this property? This is what I have. I'm going to buy the materials, right? He was like, I think we can get this done in 9-10 days. You know? I was like, all right, 9 to 10 days. I was like, you sure? He's like, weather permitted. Okay. I was like, anything after that, you owe me $100. You pay me $100. He was like, that sounds fair enough. But these are the things that you have to do to make sure these contractors get the task done. Buy your own materials. Never give them money up front, right? And what I'm doing is I'm paying him by the unit that's done. So once one unit gets done, I'll pay him for that unit, right? And the house is already painted. We're on day 6. House is already painted. One unit is almost completely done.
Yep. Looks dramatically different from the pictures before.
Oh my God!
So
crazy.
And that's good to know. So again, if you're a brand new brand new investor, or you want to become a brand new investor, there are so many different ways to do this. You can do it as complex as you want it to do, or you can do it as simple as, I already have a house. I'm going to move out, and I'm gonna go rent a small place, just because, again, it's not forever. Mm-hmm. Or again, like what he was saying, I'm going to rent a room out. Easy. Like there's so many different ways to do this. And most importantly, I want to highlight what you said earlier. There's no right or wrong way. You can listen to Dave Ramsey. You can listen to Robert Kiyosaki, right? You could do it anyway. But most importantly is a direction, because, and I will say this.
You're better off than where you are.
Right. And the reason why I get so excited about this is because once I had direction, we started figuring out other ways to get the money. Like, okay, cool. Now that I have this, okay, I need to go talk to a bank. So I need to get all these things lined up. So if they start asking questions, I have this ready for them, because I'm going this route, but it's direction. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really the most important part out of everything you said. I hope people understood that part is, it doesn't matter if you start small. It doesn't matter if you take out $1 million loan and you go buy an apartment complex. Direction.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like, there's no guaranteed shit. Right. And I think what it is just being scared, and in the fear of failing, or the fear of being kicked on your ass. But if you know yourself, right? I mean, you can be at work and get fired. I mean, how many times have we seen that happen in 2020, Mm-hmm. Like, you got to take the risk. And if you have a big house, downgrade like a motherfucker. Downgrade. Like, live simple as shit for a little bit, right? And if I had a home, I would totally move out of it, get a little bit of apartment, especially if I was didn't have kids and stuff. Get a little apartment, because I know this house needs 2 years of cash flow. before it becomes a fucking asset monster. You know what I mean? So, that 2 years goes by really fast. But at the same time, that's going to pay your mortgage, right? But whatever that apartment is, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. But again, it's for the future, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's awesome. Like I said, that those are some things, like, again, if you're married, anyone can hustle this. If you're saying, I'm married, I got 4 or 5 kids, cool. Maybe house hacking is not for you. Maybe so. But there's another direction. And that's kind of like what I came to is I bought a house and then I was like, oh man, if I knew what I knew now, I would have bought a duplex and then sit there and say, we're just going to be here a year and we'll move out. Like, no big deal. But I didn't. So, but and that's the most beauty part about all this stuff. You could buy a triplex. You could buy a fourplex, live in one room. You could do that. If that's not available, you can literally go get a small, and also a thing we didn't talk about is, if you're worried, if you're kind of handy, or if you're on YouTube and you don't mind doing it, you can literally buy a cheap house and go on YouTube and figure out how to lay floor. You go to Home Depot and rent the equipment. You know, you could do that too.
There's so many ways to do it, you know, and I think, like, okay, I have one person is like, I just don't want to deal with evictions, or I don't want to, and I think they're gonna fuck my house up. Yeah, they're gonna fuck your house up. Yeah, we don't want them to, but this is part of being a owner, right? Stop looking at assets as a personal fucking thing. They're assets. This is what it is. Like, don't get too attached to these assets, you know? And I think people do that, and they're like, and they're so fearful of, like, oh my God, I gotta pay for this roof, or oh my God, I gotta do this. Well, you don't need to get into fucking real estate. Because those shits are happening. You know what I mean? So,
and also too, so like, I was even going back to my original story, my goal is also to have a rental company. So I literally plan on dealing with just buying it, dealing with the bank, dealing with the property manager of it from the rental property. And that's it. I'm not doing anything else. Does that eat away some of my cash flow? 100%. But also zero effort on my part making money. I get an asset, I get cash flow coming in, and I get to do what I do, and that's something completely different. And that's also, like, again, if you don't want the headache, then you're gonna have to pay people, and that's part of it.
Yeah, and I think everybody just thinks that I think they have commitment issues. You know, real estate is a bare minimum 5-year commitment. Bare minimum. Some people say 7, I say 5. Bare minimum commitment. It is a slow thing, but it is something. They're not building more land. Just remember that. You're not. Once you get your land, and once you get something, I suggest people just to hold on to it. It's something that you can pass on. It's something that you can work with if you know how to. And the thing is, if you're like, oh my God, these people, they don't pay taxes, you know, because they don't pay taxes, but they make all this money, da 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 da. Well, yeah, motherfucker, because I'm supplying the society with rent, with fucking housing. I'm helping people who do not have a chance to have a home to raise a family while you live in your shit. Yeah, you need to be taxed.
Yep.
You know, so that's just how it works. And a lot of people don't know, the government wants you to be in business with them, not the other government, but the old government. Yeah. You know, they want you to be in business with them because they know they don't want to pay for people to live. Right. You know, so if you're fortunate enough, you know, help out and you'll be rewarded.
And, you know, when it comes to these ones too, as well, like, okay, it sounds great. It sounds, again, you and I both like real estate investing. We get excited about it. Now, there are some downsides. There are, like, you will have to do with evictions, personal, right, for you.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun when someone needs to move out so you can get a new renter in and you got to clean their mess up. That happens too. I say all that
turnover.
Yes. And I say that because you need to know everything, the good and the bad, and you got to outweigh it and see what's good for you. Just because we like it doesn't mean it's for everybody. And there's a reason why nobody's into it.
I love it, man. You know, just those things are good experiences though. You know, they're a great experience. Just take this closing I'm doing right now. I mean, I was able to boom, nip everything in the butt, get everything I wanted and zip and run it in no time. But it came with all the experience of the bullshit I've dealt with. I mean, like, dude, there's been times, like, I've been at shows and stuff, and then a lot of people don't even. I'm like so private, you know what I mean? And I remember I was at a show one time, and in my fourplex, that motherfucker had a massive water leak going on in somebody's room. And I'm just getting calls, and I'm at shows, and I just had to like play it like super cool. But these are the things that fucking happen. Right. You know what I mean? And man, I remember that shit. That shit was awful, bro. I actually got the video of that. I should show the video of what happened with that. But anyway, but these are risk factors. But at the same time, it's the stress will make you better in the long run. And again, and if you fix the things, if you learn from them, less of these things will happen. Right. But you cannot control what other people do. You can't control the neighborhoods that you invest in. You know what I mean? So it's just like I said, no right or wrong way, but it's just getting your foot in the door.
And to recap, so as we start winding down everything, and I'll recap exactly what my strategy is. My strategy for this year, for 2022, is 5 to 6 properties. How I plan on getting that for the funding is, because my LLC is getting on the 2-year mark, I'm going to go for a line of credit from the bank to get the funding I need, so that way I personally don't have to put the 20% down on those properties, and that's it. And the properties I'm looking at are from the 100 to 150. If it is 200, it needs to be a really good property, or just a banger of a deal that I'm going to forego maybe a couple properties because of that. But I'm looking at 100 to 150. And during the option period, I'm going to negotiate repairs as much as possible to ensure there's less that I need to fix on the property, and I can get a renter in. We close within 30 days. I'm cash flowing from a renter. That is my personal strategy for this year. How about you?
All right. So to recap mine is more of a turning key type strategy, less repair, kind of like yourself, right? Going there 30 days, bare minimum acquisition. But I am looking for a 15. Actually, I usually do a 17% return, bare minimum, but I'm willing to take a 15% bare minimum return, 15 to 23%. That's for me. And that includes everything, right? More turning key properties. If I can get some multifamily properties, those are very tough right now and super competitive. So I got access to off-market deals now, which is, right? And I'm going to start really diving into this community because the rental is fucking crazy. So more turning key properties, less work, for me.
And I think those are, again, regardless, right or wrong, those are our direction. And like I said, you could do whatever. You could decide, I don't want to do that. Fine. There's also another way, real quick, and I'll say this one. If you have a home for over 20 years, you have equity, you could pull that out and invest in that, by the way. So just think about that stuff. So there's another way.
1031, man.
There's so many different things. And we could talk about this forever, as you can tell. There's multiple things, a way to hustle it. So again, just want to let everyone know, if you're planning on being a brand new investor, great, man, come to it. It's some work, but people do love it for a reason. There's so many different ways. There's no right or wrong way. In my opinion, the only wrong way is just waiting. That's it.
I know everybody who waited in 2021 and 2020. Oh, they're fucking kicking themselves in the ass right now. And again, guys, this shit is not fucking stopping for a couple years. Just letting you know.
Don't, if you're trying to buy on the dip, don't. Like, it's just FYI. Like, I think anybody, we're not fortune tellers, but I think everyone are pretty comfortable.
These niggas hype you up.
Yeah, like don't. If it happens, there will be even more competition. So you might as well just get in while you get in, because and on this from my side, the more experience you have, better. So if it does come down to a dip, you want that experience of what it was on the high side, so you can have a better idea. But with that, I'm good to go. Is there anything you want to leave with for you?
No, I am actually good. If y'all want any questions from me and Mike, y'all please just email us or just drop a line. You can email me or just look at anything teamctn.com and just contact me for anything.
All right, brother. Till next time.
Yeah, bro.